Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our mini webinar on workplace training, successful initiatives. So this is our second meeting on the skills and talents for SME growth, the potential of workplace trainings. My name is Mart Veliste. I'm one of the thematic experts of SME competitiveness on the InterTradeIreland policy learning platform, and I will be moderating today's session. And with me is also Schmerber, my colleague, who will also help to moderate today's discussion. So Luke, you can also come on screen for a second to show yourself. And indeed, this event that you are now attending is organized by the Policy Learning Platform. We are the second pillar of Interreg Europe, and our job is to share all the rich knowledge on better policy making across Europe. So you're welcome to visit our website, and you can find a community of peers, including various policymakers across Europe. We have a large database of good practices on various policy areas, and today we will highlight these two good practices with our speakers. And overall, the Policy Learning Platform provides expert policy support. So we organize webinars such as this today, but also workshops, matchmakings, and we have a peer review service. And plus, we produce policy news and policy briefs. So we provide rich content to policymakers across Europe, and you're welcome to check it out. Now, today we are in a mini webinar series, the second session. So we had our first session last week with Mr. Norbert Schmerber from the European Commission. And last week we looked at the topic at the EU policy level. So Norbert gave us an overview on the EU Pillar of Social Rights, on the skills agenda, on the renewed European Alliance for Apprenticeships. We talked about micro-credentials and intercompany learning and training activities. So we discussed lifelong learning and these training initiatives in a broader scope. But today and next week, we're gonna dive deeper into regional good practices where we have already some very, very interesting results of how to run these sort of things. So today we have two speakers, and I would ask both of them to join me on camera. So we have Isabelle-Louise Aabel from Norway, who is an EU advisor at GC Node. But Louise is also a project partner in Femina, one of the Interreg Europe projects that deals with female involvement in high-tech companies and how to promote it. And then we have Janet Toal from InterTradeIreland, who's a stakeholder in the Inside Out EU project. Now, the Inside Out EU project focuses on internationalizing SMEs. But the good practices that I will talk about today are still about workplace initiatives, work placements, and workplace training. So I think this is it from my side as an introduction for now, and I will rather save more time for our keynote speakers. So Isabelle, you are welcome to turn on your microphone as well, and we will give you the right to share your screen.
Thank you, Mart. So then I will try to get this up and running.
And it works fine.
Perfectly. Thank you, Martin. And thank you so much for the introduction. As you said, my name is Isabelle-Louise Aabel, and I'm currently working as an EU advisor in GC Node, which is a cluster organization representing a lot of the supply industry to ocean technologies and traditionally oil and gas sector. So of course, Femina has been a really interesting project for us, just promoting female participation within our STEM companies, so to speak. And today I will present Trainee Sør, or Trainee South, a trainee organization based in the south part of Norway. And I can also include just shortly that I'm also an alumni trainee and has been a part of this program previously. So Trainee Sør was established now 17 years ago and is still going strong, which I do believe is because the region's industry is growing really steadily, and the transformation processes that we have been going through the last few years makes it really interesting to get in touch with the young professionals that Trainee South represent. The traineeship is open to graduates up to 30 years old across the whole nation, who have an excellent academic background and at least a master degree. Definitely we try to boost our own university, University of Agder, which is present in Kristiansand, the biggest city, and also Grimstad, a smaller city in our region. During the period, the trainees are coupled with a very carefully selected mentor that helps them through the last year of the traineeship that lasts for 18 months. Trainee Sør is open to all academic backgrounds, of course. Me, myself, is a social scientist, but it's due to our region's industry, the STEM subjects are really high represented within the program. Trainee South presents and organizes different networking events and study trips and courses due the 18 months period of a traineeship. And they also pay a competitive salary for the trainees. And the last year, the annual salary was about 510,000 kroners. That equals around 50,000 euros a year for a trainee. So that means it's also really competitive to be a trainee versus getting a full-time job straight after education. So the stakeholder engagement is quite diverse. Of course, the companies that are a member of Trainee South is a really important position because they both try to implement what kind of competence is needed in the industry as of now, but also have a great connection to Trainee Sør as an organization and the students and also the university in the region. These cooperation between academic institutions and the local municipal level and also the county council makes it really interesting for the trainees also to see what kind of opportunities the region represents and also further down the road wish to settle in the regions. The SMEs and the enterprises around the region can now address what competence is needed and both get access to the young professionals, but also make a input to the university and other high education institutions on how the courses and the different degrees should be built up to actually meet the industry's need. And the young professionals are given the opportunity to test the different workplaces during the 18 months as a trainee, and more likely in the aftermath of the program, find their fit and know more which direction they need or wish to move forward in. So I would like to present a little bit of the journey you have as a trainee. Through the programs, the trainee gets both professional and personal development, being presented with work experience in the three different companies, and also different professional gatherings, study trips, and social events. And the pictures that you see on the screen now is from the assessment center, meaning after the applicants of young professionals has gone through the first interview round, they are invited to an assessment center where they need to solve different tasks in groups and solo to meet the demands that Trainee South sets for their young professionals to get hired. During the 18 months as a trainee, you are given several competence enhancing courses. and I have represented a few of them here, where the one is a business modeling course, where you can use an example of the business that you are present in, or Trainee South as an organization, and then go through a business development plan to see the structures and how you should solve your future as an employee in a company. And also there's a picture of a yellow course, lean course, that also gives you an input on how to be more efficient in your everyday work life. And we have some pictures from the social gatherings that you have, also because Trainee South is a really important part of building a network, both of professionals, but also friends that you will then have in different companies afterwards. So you will build a really good and solid network for the future. So during the 18 months, you have 2 different study trips usually. So one within our country and one abroad. Usually the study trips includes both different private companies and bigger sectors, but also the public bodies like the Parliament and when in Brussels, the Commission. So we can get a total picture on how things are interconnected with each other. And I have presented pictures from our study trip from a few years ago, where we actually were able to visit both Google and Facebook in Dublin. That was really interesting. The last year, the last 12 months of the traineeship, you get connected with a mentor that will follow you through the last year of the traineeship, and in almost every case also your first steps into your own professional career in the aftermath. The trainee during the program period are fully implemented in all the companies that you are hired in, and they're invited to do important meetings across the different companies in all the levels. And the tasks that are being solved by the trainee is important tasks that would have been solved by any other employee if not for the trainee being present. So it's not any tasks that's kind of given of necessity. It's a really important and included task necessary for the company as a whole to be solved. And they use their trainee for that, which make you feel important and also a part of the learning process of the company in total. And in my opinion, and also through the Femina project, we have seen that this has benefits for all. It's not just for the young professionals, of course, which of course see this as a great potential, but also for the SMEs, the university, and the regional level. So the enterprises benefits from a professional recruitment service, which guarantees that you get the most skilled applicants selected into the program. The evaluation of skills helps eliminate the gender bias that can be that we have seen across Europe, that women often get discriminated against in male-dominated sectors, as a lot of the south part of Norway region is represented by. So as an example from the Femina project that really emphasize on equality, this fits. And I've also provided you with some numbers to see the difference between men and women hired, and also how many of the trainees actually get hired professionally with a full-time contract after the ended trainee period. So how can you transfer this good practice to you? I think it's important to remember that when you're transferring this practice, Norway has a high awareness of gender issues, and we have come quite a far way on this. So this would be important for you wishing to use this in your own region, that the gender bias could easily be visible when you're doing this. But thanks to a really professional recruitment process with multiple actors involved, with a high focus on the skills, you can see that the equality gets more washed out, so to speak. It's important also to be aware of the main industry that your region represents, because that's the companies that would wish to involve a trainee in their everyday work life. So they need to have a voice to say what kind of competence is needed, and also make sure that you have a close collaboration with higher education. And what we have seen during the Femina project is that both a region in Sweden and the north part of Netherlands are now currently working with their policy platforms to transfer this program into their own regions. And we have seen in the first phases that this is looking to be a success. So that was a quick introduction of this program and initiative. And I hope you found it interesting, and hopefully you have some questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabelle-Louise, for this very interesting presentation. And of course, everybody is welcome to ask their questions through the GoToWebinar questions tool, and then Luke and I can moderate this discussion with our speakers as well. But I will ask the first question. I mean, the program is very impressive for SMEs, as you showed the indicator of how many people are retained after the student has been enrolled in this program. It's very, very, very high, which shows that, you know, these companies get new employees. But I would want to ask the question from you as alumni of the program. So what would you say personally? What did this Trainee Sør format give you as a young person a few years ago?
It broadened my spectrum quite a lot, because when we gathered in the assessment center, we had young professionals from all the different educations with different master degrees, and we were all quite fixed on what kind of industry, company, way of work we were planning on. Of course, that comes from your own courses that you have been taking. So a lot of the engineers, they came with a maybe renewable competence. They were really fixed on going into the private sector. Many of them ended up in public sector, actually developing policies to make sure that the renewable energy would actually be a bigger part of the politics happening, both regionally and nationally. And me as a social scientist ended up in the private oil and gas sector or ocean technology sector, which maybe was not that clear in the beginning.
I also see that these practices have an added value in the terms of retaining talent in the region as well. And if I remember correctly, you were thinking about going to Brussels, but then you stayed in Norway. Was it like that? So
that was actually just like that. During my traineeship, I was lucky to have one of my periods in a regional office based in Brussels. And during my master degree, I was specialized in European politics and bureaucracy. So for me also that vision was quite clear. And during my traineeship in Brussels, I was able to learn more about my region in not just the political side, but also in the industrial side. And I realized how much we had to offer also into the European project and development of the new markets. So I wanted to go home and be a voice of my region and our industry, both the process industry and the offshore technology industry, and bring that back to Europe. And I felt I would do that best if I got to know the industry from the inside and then bringing it out.
Building on that, Isabelle, on this personal aspect, which is quite important, I think, could you then also benefit from this network? You mentioned these networking aspects around the trainees when you get together, and is that something you could experience then also?
Definitely. It's been now 7 years since I joined the trainee program. And as of today, I still meet alumni trainees almost in any networking event, professionally or socially, being represented in almost any of the companies within our region, that means that I have a really close way to get in contact with that company because I already have a friend. And even if a trainee was not in the program at the same time as me, we're part of an alumni network. So we kind of skip the part of being friends or get to know each other because we know we have the same background, and that's a quality that I can respect. So we just skip that part and we go straight to trust, and then the doors are open.
That's quite interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And
one last quick question from my side. I think the very unique feature of the Trainee Sør is that you rotate the trainees in 3 different companies for 6-month periods. Would you say it's really a strength of the program, or could it just be one company for 18 months? What is the benefit of this rotation?
When you ask me now, in hindsight, I definitely see it as a highly recommended and a really positive process. When I was a trainee myself, after 6 months, you actually feel confident and you feel you're a part of the network and the industry and the company, and you actually feel that now I'm ready to deliver. And then you're getting just ripped out of that place and put into a new company, and you start over again. And that experience with culture, different leading styles, and different colleagues makes you really aware on what role you take personally and where you fit in, and how you can see yourself in new positions and in new cultures, which is crucial, and which I have personally benefited a lot about working as an EU advisor with different countries, project group, companies. So that's a really added value from the program with the 3 different companies.
It seems very, very fascinating in a way, and really thinks about the career development elements of the young person used as a trainee in these companies. But thank you again, Isabelle. I would now like to introduce our second speaker. So Janet, if you can join us on the screen with your camera, with your microphone, and hopefully we'll get your screen shared as well.
Okay, can you hear me all right, Mart?
Yeah, I can hear you. And I can see the first slide as well, so go ahead.
That's great. Thanks very much, Mart, for the introduction, and thanks to InterReg Europe for inviting me along today. I'm Janet Toal, and I am the Innovation Manager at InterTradeIreland, and I'm going to give you an overview of our Fusion programme. So I'll just run you through a quick, we're going to talk about who InterTradeIreland are, what the Fusion programme is about, how it actually works in practice, some challenges and learning that we have had with the programme, the impact of it, and also where it is going in the future. So who are InterTradeIreland? InterTradeIreland are the cross-border business development implementation body, and we were set up under the Good Friday Agreement. And InterTradeIreland is funded then 2/3 by the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment in the Republic of Ireland, and 1/3 by the Department of Economy in Northern Ireland. And you can see our new corporate plan is to deliver focused, collaborative, all-island trade and business development initiatives that drive productivity, jobs and growth. And we're planning to achieve this by supporting and developing and delivering programmes that provide supports to small businesses across the island, north and south. And within InterTradeIreland itself, we have 3 main areas. We have trade, funding for growth and innovation, and the Fusion project falls within that innovation pillar. And in fact, I started my career 20 years ago in InterTradeIreland working on the very first pilot of the Fusion programme. So what is programme all about? So you can see there, in its very best and simplest explanation, Fusion is a tripartite innovation programme, and it is the only cross-border and all-island technology transfer programme of its type. It has a cross-border focus, and for us in this instance, InterTradeIreland, all our work is cross-border, and in this instance in Fusion, if the company is based in Northern Ireland, then the academic partner is based in the Republic and vice versa. It's a three-legged stool or three-person partnership. So we have a company, an academic, and then a graduate who's recruited to go and actually work within the business. So while the company and the academic are cross-border, the graduate can come from anywhere. They don't have to have that cross-border element. It's all about collaborative innovation and technology transfer. And at the very heart of it is the key that the partnership must be based on mutual respect and trust between the academic and the company. And the programme itself was developed because InterTradeIreland were very aware of the relationship between innovation and profitability, productivity, competitiveness, and long-term economic growth. But we also understand that this is an area where SMEs lack participation, have low capacity, and poor culture. And Fusion really enables the companies with a technology need. So it's a need within the business that they don't have the expertise in order to tackle or to solve. And they're brought together, they're partnered with an academic partner, and together they develop a project that focuses on that technology need. And this is called developing a joint bid. So this is actually a proposal which is then brought to InterTradeIreland. An academic is responsible for developing that proposal and leading on that, and they actually receive funding of £2,500 sterling of support to actually develop that. Like any marriage proposal, the partnering must have mutual benefits. So it has to have, it's almost like cultivating a relationship. And only 6% of the SMEs, when they were asked about their innovation capacity or culture, before Fusion, they would have said 6% rated it as being high. But after Fusion, 100% of the SMEs asked rated it as either being moderately high or high. So how does it actually work in practice? So it's delivered by a managing agent on behalf of InterTradeIreland. It focuses on a number of key sectors and key themes under our new corporate plan, and those include Industry 4.0, Internet of Things, low carbon, bioenergy, advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence. In terms of the actual companies that participate, they have to be small, and they have to be more than 5 employees, less than 249, indigenous to the island of Ireland, with a 2-year trading history. And they have to be able to demonstrate a real need for the innovation and a buy-in from management. So it has to really be fully committed. In terms of the actual projects themselves, you can have 3 types. You can have new product, you can have new process, or you can have process improvement. And the projects can either be 12 or 18 months in duration. And then in terms of the application and approval process, as I've mentioned, there's a joint bid, which is this proposal which is jointly prepared by the academic and the company, led by the academic. And that really details, this really significant document, because it details the problem, how they're going to solve it, and a full work plan for the graduate that's going to be recruited to come in to actually deliver within the company. So there's a number of benefits then for the 3 parties across each project. So for the company, they get a problem solved. It's an access to expertise and facilities. So the academic is 100% funded by InterTradeIreland. The company don't have to pay for any of that. And as well, in terms of financial support for the company, they also get 50% of the graduate's salary. So they're part funded to actually have this new resource within the business. And it's a really structured and supported way in which to collaborate with academia, because you're mentored and you're really led through, handheld through that whole process if you have never done it before. For the academics then, there's real access to test new learning in a practical application within businesses. An awful lot of them all develop research papers, and they also are able to develop new courses for their students to enhance the course content on courses that are already operating within their universities. And they also get to be a mentor for the graduate. And then for the graduate themselves, we like to think about it in terms of they get to work, earn and learn. So within the business, they take a key role. They are the project manager delivering this project. So that's a significant responsibility, and that's where that whole work thing comes in, and that they have that experience, and they get, for the 12 or 18 months, they are the lead project. But they're not left alone. They're mentored by this academic who can support them. They have a complete network then of academics, as well as a network of their other Fusion graduate colleagues, because they also get the offer to undertake part-time a fully funded by InterTradeIreland postgraduate diploma in business and management. So because of the key sector areas that we look within and the key thematic areas, typically all our graduates are within the STEM area, and we find that they have great expertise in that STEM, but some of them lack the expertise within sort of the business management side. So the ability to get training, get this postgraduate diploma, and there's also a training allowance within the funding for the company, so they can access additional training as well. Means that they're getting a really holistic, all-round type training to take them forward as a project manager. And then the project management, it's a really structured approach. So once the project starts, there are formal quarterly meetings, and they're supported by a consultant who acts on behalf of InterTradeIreland to help them work through their project. So in terms of impact then, you can see that it really fits with InterTradeIreland's corporate strategy. We have over 1,000 projects within the last 20 years. As I say, I started working on this in January 2002 in the very first pilot phase. The contractor themselves then have SMART targets and a key task analysis that they have to deliver upon, and they report on that quarterly to InterTradeIreland. The current phase that is just finishing at the moment, which is phase 5, has a total of 314 projects. And from our midterm evaluation, which we undertook in 2019, we know that Fusion generated over 13.1 million worth of sales and around 1.9 million, and those are sterling figures, of cost savings. So over 3 years post-project, the gross benefits are around 1.1 million sterling per company. Around 84% of the businesses and academics that were asked would say they were very satisfied, and 93% recommend the programme to others. And then in terms of the graduate retention, so 84% of the graduates that were employed were offered full-time jobs at the end of their contract period, so either 12 or 18 months, and of that, 76% stayed. Just add in as well that in terms of our midterm evaluation, 91% of the companies noted that they would not have either taken on an innovation project at all or of the same scale or scope had it not been for the Fusion support. So you can really see that this support and the collaboration helps to spread the risk and accelerates the quality of innovation produced. So have we had any challenges, and what have we learned? So yes, we've had challenges. There's a cargo ship effect, and what I mean by this is when we try to implement or affect a change in terms of perhaps the types of companies that we are targeting. So there was a change during the programme to target slightly larger companies. We had a number of micros on the programme. It took a long time for that to filter through because the pipeline takes some time in order to filter back through to the assessment process. So affecting change can take time. In terms of actually developing the projects, the one thing that I have learned, and it really is very true, that collaboration can only develop at the speed of trust. It comes down to having that really personal, sort of real care taken to develop that partnership where both the company and academic are very, very clear on what are the objectives, what's the capabilities, and what the planned outputs are. We are trying to continue to keep the programme relevant. So while the environment changes, we have had to adapt. And one of the ways in which we've done that is a B2B pilot. And B2B is a business to business. So these are different projects still under Fusion, but in this sense, they only have 2 companies who participate. There's no graduate. And these are really for much more mature innovators. So these would typically be companies who've maybe participated in Fusion in the past and who want to come together now with another company. And there's significant more funding available. It's up to 125,000 sterling worth of support for the partnership. And then finally, project drop-off. So we do find at the moment there's about 20% drop-off of those projects that have been approved that either do not start or they start and do not finish. And that's really a constant area for focus to try to improve that as we move forward. And finally then, what is the future of Fusion? So as I say, we have been going now, the Fusion programme, for over 20 years and supporting over 1,000 collaborative partnerships across the island, north and south. We have delivered a net economic benefit of 162.7 million sterling pounds, and that equates to over 1 million sterling per participant of either sales or efficiency savings. And that takes account of deadweight, which returns us a return on our expenditure of about £13 sterling for every pound that InterTradeIreland puts in. We've created over 332 jobs and protected over 200. And we're really making the programme fit for the next phase. So the next phase started in January 2021. It's just commenced. And we're going to be supporting a further 250 projects, in which 27 of those are going to be business to business. And you can see there the eye to eye, we call that ideas to invoice. So we've added into this new phase a new audit tool that will help businesses probably in a way improve their capability before they ever commence on their Fusion programme, so that they can get even more benefit out of it. And then finally, we have done a brand refresh. So after 20 years, we thought it was time to update, really to explain what it is and what it does. And so it is now going to be known as Innovation Boost, because we really do plan that Innovation Boost will be leading collaborative innovation partnership creation on the island of Ireland for at least the next 5 years. So that's really a whistle-stop tour of Fusion. Hopefully that's give you some insight, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Janet. And I will take the first question again. I mean, I think, the program overall is very impressive. It's been ongoing for 20 years. The return of investment that you mentioned was amazing, and then you have very high retention numbers with the students, either the jobs offered and the jobs also accepted. So what do you think, if you would have to name one thing, what is the key of success that has made this program to run so long with such high results?
I would say, Mart, it's the people, and it's the care taken to build the collaborative partnerships at the very beginning. At the end of the day, innovation, in practical terms, people will always do new things, but it's who you work with means that you can sometimes achieve so much more, and it's aligning the right people together. So it's really that care taken to ensure that you match the right academic expertise with the company, so that they understand each other and that they're a good fit. So it is like a marry. It's almost like trying to create that sort of, we talk about it sometimes that it's almost like starting a relationship, because you have to really understand where this company is coming from. The academic is coming in, and they can't just take over. They're there at the invitation of the company, but they're there to also share their expertise. And then you add into the mix a graduate. So typically the graduates are all STEM graduates, and some of them are very up for a challenge. These are challenging roles. They're not simple in any respect. They're challenging roles. And for a lot of them, they're maybe just finished their university education. So that mentoring is key, not just within the company, but also from the academics. So you have a tripartite relationship, and I think at the very base of it is that understanding of trust and a real commitment to the collaboration.
Janet, we have actually also a question from the audience. Maybe someone who will be interested directly in the program. Question from Nicola Tomic. Is the fusion program limited to specific sectors, and would, for instance, the creative sector, for instance, crafts companies, also crafts SMEs, be eligible?
No, it is limited to certain sectors. So we would say the manufacturing and tradable services, and that would be similar to most programs across the InterTradeIreland spectrum. So typically and they're all companies that have to be indigenous to the island of Ireland. They have to be based there. The creative sector would be outside of it.
Okay.
I suppose, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe one quick last question from my side as well is last week we had Mr. Norbert Schmerber from the European Commission talking about the importance of cross-border or international student programs as well. And in your case, you're working with both Northern Ireland and Ireland. Do you think this collaboration is it rather a hindrance to the parties involved, or is it a benefit that they're forced to participate, so with one company and academic partner from across the border?
In what sense do you mean, Mart? Sorry.
Like, do you think there's more benefits overall to the parties involved in having a cross-border collaboration rather than just doing it within one region?
Yeah. One of the key USPs of Fusion is the fact that the companies are able to access expertise that they would otherwise not have any access to. So you have Northern Ireland companies been able to access academics in the Republic, and similar academics in the Republic are accessing companies within Northern Ireland. So there's a real platform for mutual learning and sharing of experience, which otherwise would not be facilitated. And then you bring in that third party who's the graduate. So the graduate can be recruited from anywhere. So you can actually find that the graduate can come with their own experience and come into that partnership, and then they create their own network with all the other graduates as well. So you have really a huge network being created, a movement of people where innovation is the common denominator, and where they're all committed to moving forward. So it's a real impetus for innovation, and I think it's that cross-border element that really is just the added dimension, the added benefit that they wouldn't be able to access in any other program of its type.
I think it's very interesting how we can see it also having multi-layered impacts for boosting this innovation. But thank you, Janet. We are pressed on time, so I will do a few wrap-up words. So Eugenie, could you give us our last slide? So, of course, a great big thank you to both of our speakers today. If anybody still has some questions about how the Trainee Sør or the Fusion program, now known as Innovation Boost, how they function, what's the funding structure, or any other details that you're interested in, don't hesitate to write to us or still put the question into the GoToWebinar tool. We will get back to you afterwards via email to give you this advice and this information. Let me just mention as a last thing that the session from last week was recorded. You can rewatch it from our website. Today's session is also recorded and will go up on Monday. And of course, you're all welcome to join us next Friday at the same time when we have a final discussion on this skills and talents for SME growth. We have cases from the Netherlands and from Hungary, also about work placements and traineeship programs. In the case of the Netherlands, the focus will be on how the students can really support internationalization of companies. And then overall, we'll structure this discussion around how these practices could be implemented elsewhere in Europe. So how to transfer them to other regions. So you are also welcome to register to this session on the link listed below, or just through our website. So once again, a great big thank you to our speakers. Thank you to the audience for being with us. And we will conclude with a brief video on our help desk so that you can hear a bit more about the services that Interreg Europe Policy Learning platform can provide for you. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.
Hello, I'm Raluca. I work for the Policy Learning platform, and I would like to talk to you today about one of our services, the Policy Help Desk. If you work for a public institution and are involved in the development of regional policies, you might be facing a particular moment because you have to look into the future and build the next generation of operational programs. Our Policy Help Desk is easy to use. It can bring you concrete solutions to your questions related to research and innovation, SMEs competitiveness, low carbon economy, environment and resource efficiency. And it basically functions as if you were talking with a colleague, with a virtual colleague to whom you go to for help. But let's see how it works more concretely. All you have to do is to visit our website and write to us about your particular challenge. There is a designated form for that. Once we receive your request, we work with our network of experts located all over Europe. Depending on the subject of your request, we will send it to one of our experts. They will look into it, analyze it carefully, and then they will come back to you with an email. In this email, you will have personalized guidance from all over Europe in the form of recommended readings and policy briefs, videos and webinars, good practices, contacts of people that you might want to talk to. So, if you don't know where to start when thinking about the future and particular policy challenges that you are facing, don't hesitate to test our Policy Help Desk. We are